Your harness is done. Let me go through it with you. Basically, it's quite a few connectors were replaced. You'll be able to see on your invoice everything that has been replaced and everything that hasn't. So your whole harness has been wrapped in a fabric tape. You've got your EFI water temp sensor that was replaced. We've added in this connector. This is for your engine temperature. There's a little screw down there underneath the EFI water temp sensor. You can screw it out and then actually screw in a Toyota sender unit, and that'll plug straight on in. The other side of that basically goes through to your client plug so that you can connect everything up. Okay, forking down here, obviously it goes to your 5-pin airflow meter connector. Okay, and then it carries on running down. Another fork. This goes to your alternator. I haven't plugged it in. I've got the wrong alternator on this motor. And then it carries on down here and it plugs into your right-hand O2 sensor. Okay, very important. Obviously, all of your coils and injectors and your cam position sensor. This is your variable intake length, very similar to the 3uz, exactly the same thing pretty much. Okay, both earth straps, one on either side. Just make sure that both of them are properly tied in. This side, exactly the same thing, this except that you've got a noise filter. Doesn't do anything for the motor other than just get rid of the noise on your radio. Okay, your cam position or your actuator, your VVT actuators, those connectors have been replaced. Runs down here, splits out, goes to your oil pressure switch on that side, and on this side I've actually threaded it through behind the aircon pump. This is where it's supposed to be, so it keeps out of the way of your serpentine bolt. Comes out down here, plugs into your crank position. Okay. Over here, this side, you have your left-hand O2 sensor. I'll plug that in before we start it. And then coming down here, you've got you asked for an extra long fuse box. So this is like a really very long, but yeah, it's as you asked in here, exactly the same thing as your 3uz. Everything in the fuse box is marked under the lid. Okay, and then you've got your 6 relays. That's terminal over there is an earth, your engine light, start relay, fuel control relays, and EFI and main relay. Okay, you got any questions there, you just give me a shout, but it's all pretty straightforward. Okay, on your client plug you have over here, this is manual configuration, so very simple. You basically got 7 wires to get it to run. Okay, so those are those top, or 3 wires to get it to run. Those 3 on the side, and then you've got your 4 for your rev counter, temperature gauge, oil light, and charge light, and then these ones over here are for your OBD2 diagnostics. Okay. Coming down here, you've got a bridge connector with all of your earths. You've got your client plug, where that's obviously going to fit your side of the client plug, and then your ECU. Your ECU, I tested it. Yes, it ran, but it was soldered so terribly. I'll actually show you a picture of that. And then, and so I've taken that chip off and I redid it for you because it was just really nasty the way that it was done. Yeah, I mean, there was no cleanup after the chip was replaced. Actually used the old chip that was on there, so you actually took that off, reprogrammed it and put it back instead of just putting on a new one. And then, yeah, so the last thing here, obviously this red cable directly to your positive on the battery. I'll put on the airbox and then we'll start her up. This is how the chip looked. This is the one that was put on for you by that other chap. You can see there was no cleanup on. He's left all the solder, all the flux and whatnot all over the place there, and you can see this is actually the original chip. So this is the new chip that I've put on there for you, and I cleaned up the whole area there for you, so that should give you no troubles in the future at all. But yeah, let's I'm just going to prime the fuel. I prime it just by unplugging the oil pressure switch, because that'll activate the fuel pump. Just wait for there to be a little bit of pressure. There we go. Okay, so let's give her a crank here. Ignition. And not going to run it too long. I don't have a water system on here, but yeah, she runs good. There should be no problems at all. The only thing is, I think we discussed this on the phone, you're running manual. This is not a flashable ECU. It's not going to affect the way it runs, but your engine light will be on. So that has been, that's in your fuse box, so it doesn't annoy you. Okay, but you'll be able to read trouble codes off your OBD2, and then you just ignore everything as far as what input speed sensors and, you know, solenoids and stuff like that goes. Only take note of anything on the actual engine codes.